Hello, Milwaukee Bucks fans. Welcome back to Bucks Latest, presented by FanArch. I'm your host, Dean Simon. Please consider liking, subscribing, turning on those post notifications to stay up to date and in the know with all the latest Milwaukee Bucks updates in the National Basketball Association. So, we've obviously dealt with a lot of Giannis trade rumor stuff, the ongoing trade saga. Was he going to request a trade? Was he not? We've confirmed, all but confirmed in recent episodes, that he's come out in interviews, he's come out in different quotes saying that he wants to remain a Buck, he wants to go back to the finals as a Buck, he wants to compete for a title as a Milwaukee Buck. So now that, the hard part is out of the way, the big overarching problem is out of the way, building the actual title contender around Giannis is going to be the next thing up that the Bucks front office is going to have to worry about. So in a recent article, SB Nation's Jackson Gross diagnosed the Bucks' upcoming offseason and offered his own plan for what the franchise should do, and his first suggestion was for the Bucks front office to complete a massive 3-team trade with the Boston Celtics and the Chicago Bulls. And in the deal, the Bucks would send away a 2031 top 10 protected first round pick, Kyle Kuzma, Pat Connaughton, and the number 47 overall pick in this year's draft to eventually receive a combination of Kristaps Porzingis from the Celtics and the Bulls' Lonzo Ball. So obviously a lot to talk about with this one, but the thing that I like the most is Porzingis looking to be Brook Lopez's replacement if he does leave as a free agent, and for Lonzo Ball to come in and fill in for Damian Lillard, who's obviously going to be on the shelf for most of, if not all of, the 2025-26 season. And they could just add a amazing 3-and-D presence at the guard spot, which has been sorely needed in recent years, but that is if he stays healthy. Lonzo Ball has become such an impressive talent, not just because of his defensive skills, his playmaking, but the fact that he's actually turned himself into an amazing three-point shooter when healthy, that he didn't just change his form. Like, when he changed his form, everything changed. Like, he became a 40% three-point shooter. And it's not like he was terrible beforehand, but Lonzo Ball is a real 3-and-D threat now. Like, he will just get it, rise and fire, no hesitation, and it goes in 40% of the time now. So pairing a healthy Lonzo Ball, not even speaking about Giannis in this context, with him being back surrounded by a duo of Lonzo Ball and Chris Middleton, with Giannis back and Lonzo Ball being able to work with Kristaps in pick and roll, pick and fade actions, that would be incredible for the Bucks offense. And then just speaking of Giannis and Porzingis next to each other in the front court, Giannis would get the perfect partner in Kristaps, because he's literally, as Gross said in the article himself, that he's basically just a younger and quicker, taller Brook Lopez. So it would be a pretty great replacement there, and just adding a guy like Lonzo Ball. Again, in the case of if Kevin Porter Jr. were to leave, if a guy like Gary Trent Jr. were to leave, you would get a guy in Lonzo that can easily, fill those spots, and, he can, again, if healthy, remain as their starting point guard, potentially going into the season after that, and the season after that, if they want to sign him back after, I believe, the 2026-27 season is when his contract expires after that year. So Lonzo could end up being a great option. Kristaps could end up being a great option, again, if healthy. He was dealing with that weird, long virus illness in the playoffs, and, it kept him sidelined for a good while. And, Porzingis has not been healthy for the past couple of years in his own right. And getting a healthy Porzingis on the roster would change things, especially next to a guy like Giannis. If Bobby Portis were to return to come in and back those guys up in the front court, a lot of great things could eventually be happening for the Milwaukee Bucks in this context. I don't think a deal of this nature is going to end up happening, but it would be pretty crazy if the Bucks management, the front office, the top brass, were to concoct something like this with two in-conference teams. I would be very, very interested to see that kind of thing happen. But moving on, SB Nation's Finley Cool actually did a free agency roundup on one Jericho Sims, and he's going to be a free agent this year. He's probably not going to command much in terms of salary, but bringing back a guy like Jericho Sims, who is just sometimes just too athletic for his own good. I mean, it's ridiculous that not only is this guy a fantastic leaper, but he's just so agile. He can run in transition with the best of them. He's really all around an incredible athlete. And while his offensive production, he still shoots 68% from the field or something like that, because he's just finishing lobs. But aside from his offensive limitations, he has all the potential in the world to be a great defender at the center position for the Bucks going forward. And especially Again, because a lot of it hinges on Brook Lopez potentially leaving, potentially accepting a deal from another contender, that Jericho Sims could potentially see a lot of opportunity moving forward. It's not like he's going to be the day in, day out starter, but maybe 20 to 25 minutes a game, you throw Jericho Sims in there, see what he can do in pick and roll and supporting Giannis as a pretty talented rim protector. He is really, like, he doesn't get that much opportunity, and he hadn't throughout his first couple of years with the Knicks. And with the Bucks, it was kind of the same, maybe like 11 to 14 minutes a night, and in the playoffs he got about the same. But he is really an unbelievable rim protector. He just has this ability to hang in the air and affect all these kinds of shots. If he's not getting blocks, he's changing basically every shot that comes towards the rim. He's a go-getter when it comes to shot blocking. So if he can somehow develop even more as a defender, as an incredible shot blocker, he could get to a point where his defense is so valuable that you just can't take him off the court in certain situations, no matter how limited he is on the offensive end, outside of rim running, setting screens, and rolling to the basket, and just sitting in the dunker spot. No matter how much he, may lack on that end, he really has the potential to be an awesome defender for the Bucks. And he showed a little bit of flash defending the perimeter as well against guards and tracking them towards the basket, getting up, blocking their shot. He's something else. And I mean, he's a guy that I've watched a lot. Like I did watch a lot of New York Knicks basketball in the last few years, and he's a guy that's always intrigued me. And now that he's in Milwaukee and he has a chance to really affect things going forward, I'm excited to see what the future holds. And a lot of people predicting that he may be going back on a 2-year deal, maybe around the veteran minimum, maybe somewhere even closer. I think Finley Cool predicted that he would get around maybe like a $5 million salary. I wouldn't be too upset with that. Of course you want to get as close to the minimum with a guy like that as possible for a guy that plays maybe a little over 10 minutes a night. But bringing back Jericho Sims in any capacity, really, I would not be against in any right. But going into even more of a position of need potentially at the guard position with, again, guys like Kevin Porter Jr., like Gary Trent Jr., free agents, Ryan Rollins, guys that could possibly leave. Forbes' Brian Sampson made a list recently of 7 potential point guard targets for the Bucks to pursue, and one of the suggestions that he included really got me going, and that was Spencer Dinwiddie from the Dallas Mavericks. Sure, he's not that efficient, but he's just amazing at putting the ball on the floor. He's got a great handle. One-on-one shot creation is something that the Bucks desperately need and will need with Damian Lillard out for most of, if not all of, the next year. Whether he is great at putting up his own shot and putting it in the basket at an efficient rate, it remains to be seen. But he can definitely get others involved. He's a pretty good assist to turnover ratio kind of guy. He is a skilled playmaker. Even though I feel like his one-on-one scoring, his ball handling sometimes overpowers everything else about his game. He really is talented at diagnosing the offense and getting guys involved. So I would not be too, I'm behind the Spencer Dinwiddie pickup. Sure, there are other guys like a Chris Paul, like a Dennis Schroeder, like a Malcolm Brogdon that could definitely be more attractive options. But Spencer Dinwiddie, just like for this next year, I would not be against throwing him on the team. Just in, you give him 26, 28 minutes a night, and you just kind of say, Spencer, you got the green light, do whatever you want. I don't think that would, number one, be a bad product to watch, but who knows? Maybe he can be more efficient. He can go back to his years as a net, or at least 1 year as a net, where he shot about 45% from the field, and he was in like 6th man of the year running. He put up 20 a game 1 year. So this is a guy that has a lot of experience being that ball dominant guy. Again, in the pick and roll, finding his own shot. I think Spencer Dinwiddie could do a lot of positive things if he were to join the Milwaukee Bucks in the near future. But we've spoke a lot about Brook Lopez in this episode, and to continue on that trend, Bucks on Sports Illustrated's Ryan Stano wrote recently that the Lakers could be a strong suitor for Brook Lopez, and this is a potential signing that both makes complete sense from a basketball perspective and is one that we've considered the possibility of and thought about for the past few weeks, or maybe up to a month or two, because they just seem like a perfect fit for each other. Brook is going to be looking for his last chance to compete for a title and earn a decent chunk of salary while doing so, and because he's still an incredibly impactful player, if the Lakers especially can surround him with enough defensive support on the perimeter, guys that, can just funnel him towards the basket, or if he's just playing drop coverage, he could definitely help them to make a deep postseason run. Of course, losing Brook Lopez in this context for the Bucks would be awful, but if the Bucks were to swing for a guy like Porzingis, a stretch shooter, maybe a guy like Jalen Smith from the Chicago Bulls, guys that have been proven shooters on the outside at around 7 feet tall and that have long arms, can block shots, getting the same archetype of player as Brook Lopez if he were to walk out the door and go to the Lakers or go to a team like the Warriors that need floor spacing. It's imperative that the Bucks go out and find a guy like Porzingis, like Jalen Smith. Jalen Smith specifically is a guy that I've been kind of hung up on in recent weeks because I feel like he doesn't get the attention that he deserves, and he's got all the potential in the world to me. He's got a strong frame, super long arms, again, like a capable three-point shooter. There's sometimes he's up and down, but I think he could do a lot of things going forward. I think he's a guy that the Bucks low-key should target via trade, via signing, what have you, in the near future or in the long term. So anyways, that'll be it for me today. Thank you very much for watching Bucks Latest presented by FanArch. I've been Dean Simon. Please consider liking, subscribing, turning on those post notifications to stay up to date with all the latest Milwaukee Bucks updates. I will see you in the next one. Go Bucks.